Each one will introduce themselves in a second. I won't bite your head off too much about the Junction. I'll just say that we have started our call for application for the next wave, which starts in October. We're very excited about it. We're looking for really, really high quality B2B startups. We have plenty of reading material and cards, so whoever is interested, come and speak to me. I'll be here after the panel. Yeah, so something that is quite new and interesting about the Junction is that we've recently partnered with major multinational companies such as HP, SAP, Unicre, Enel, and Ran. And they have started to work with us very closely in searching and scouting for relevant companies in their points of interest, in their verticals, different kinds of verticals, all B2B companies. And they're majorly looking for pilot and investment opportunities and working with the startups throughout the 6 months of our program. This is a great added value that we bring with the Junction. And of course, we have the experience of being 5 years in the landscape, great alumni network, great mentors and friends from different investors that come and mentor and help us out. Yeah, that's basically it. So if you have any questions, feel free to approach me after the panel. Take it away, Gilad, Uziely, a close friend and alumni of the Junction. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Do not wait for the last second. Please apply now if you want to apply. Because you get over a huge headache. Just one like 2-3 days before the registration will close. So great to see you all here. Many familiar faces. For whom is it the first time that they meet up the Junction? Good. So we have many new people. Hopefully it won't be your last meetup. So if basically the idea of the meetup of the Junction is really encouraging conversation. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to raise your hand. Our panel members will be happy to answer all your questions. We'll try to keep it as simple as possible so it will be accessible for everybody. Let's get the microphone for you guys. We will start with a very quick presentation of the panel members. Who wants to start?
Sounds like music.
Hi guys, my name is Maya. I lead the Lool's investment team. Lool Ventures is an early stage VC based in Tel Aviv. We invest in Israeli-based startups that seek global audiences with IP based mostly in software. My background is in legal and finance. Before Lool, I was a consultant for a financial consulting company in Tel Aviv. With Lool for about a year. Feel free to reach out if you have any interesting company and you want to grow big.
I'm Eran Bielski from Entrée Capital, international multi-stage fund, invest around $30–40 million a year, seed to round D. 2/3 of the portfolio is overseas, a third is in Israel. Industry agnostic, but don't do stuff we don't know anything about, so biomed, medical devices, etc. Been with the fund for about a year and a half. Pretty much it.
You want to say something about Sigma?
Yes. So we founded an accelerator called Sigma Labs, which is sponsored by Yahoo, or should I say Verizon, EBD, which is a pre-seed early stage accelerator, very similar to the Junction model. And that's a topic for a whole different kind of panel.
Hi guys, my name is Eyal Miller and I'm with Samsung Next Tel Aviv. Samsung Next Tel Aviv is a new entity, an organization that I'm now working on establishing and launching in Tel Aviv. Our headquarters is in Mountain View, California. We have offices offices in New York, San Francisco, and now in Savannah, Tel Aviv. Basically, we're focused on software and services, and we're running 3 programs. One is focused on community relation and developer relation, where we simply providing office hours, mentorship, and all sorts of services for the community, no strings attached, free, of course. Second activity is M&A, and the third activity is investments. We're investing in cybersecurity, IoT, drones, AI, you name it, everything with software and services. We do pre-seed to B, up to $3 million.
You want to say something about what you did before Samsung? Okay. Something everybody knows.
So I just joined Samsung about a year ago, and I was one of the founding members of Google in Israel, founding member of the business operation, and I was one of the founders of Campus Tel Aviv. So spent overall 9.5 years at Google.
I'm Dafna. I'm part of the investment team at 83 North. Some of you might know it as Israel of Israel. We changed the name about a year and a half ago, but it's the same fund. We do investments in Israel and Europe, all stages, early to late, depends on the type of company and the industry. And we do anything so-called life science. Whatever technologies out there will probably invest.
Can you say something about the average round of investment, ballpark?
So the average round, I would say, would be around 2 to 4 million.
So one day.
Yeah, run A, but we can put a check of a couple of $100,000, and we could put a check of 10 million in some cases. Basically, all the stages.
Hi everyone, my name is Ran. I'm with Carmel Ventures investment team. Carmel is now investing for its 4th fund. It's been around since 2000. I personally deal with companies and startups in the enterprise IT space, so that includes storage, security, big data, but also B2B in general and fintech as a whole. Carmel is also part of the larger group called the Yellow Group, which has a growth aspect to it as well, and ventures.
So you said it in the specific field within the fund, is that right?
Yeah, we're 2 principals at Carmel. We sort of split some of the domain areas between us. So,
anything that you just want to approach you, like things that you will not deal with?
In general, Carmel investing in broad domain areas. Some things that we are not investing in so much as well as medical devices and sensitivities and FDA approval, that's something that's not more competency. But other than that, from consumer-focused startups to B2B, it's very wide.
So just to understand, we have like fund, we have Eyal from Samsung, we have Entry, we have Lool, which is 100% Israeli, right? We have Carmel, we have we know. Any of you want to say something about the differences between the different funds? Maya?
Sure.
You don't have to. How do you want to?
Well, I guess that, first of all, it's the primary focus for us is, we won't invest unless there's a Israeli strong connection. So it's not about any startup. I suppose anything in order to look at like any global company that does Europe and Israel. So we're very focused and dedicated to the crossroads of the Israeli confidence. We're coming out of a lot of guys coming out of the army with great experiences that help them overcome some of the main challenges that Israeli startups face with. And I suppose that we won't be looking very far around. We're also a very relatively small fund. So we have the ability to support with our partners, with our network, and we're deeply rooted in the Israeli ecosystem. And I'm sure either
institutional investors, VCs, etc., we're like more of the corporate investor brand type, which is slightly different than what other VCs might be looking at. I think the difference can be, the goal of the VC, the array of stages that the traditional VC and the corporate VC invested, the level of control, and also the exit scenarios. So, for example, traditional VC would be active in all stages, where corporate investors usually do more of the early stage stuff. The VC goal would be most of the time purely financial, right? They need to do 100x on the investments, at least with one company, etc. And corporate investors might have other goals in mind, such as strategic partnership and stuff like that. Level of control also VCs tends to want to have more board seats and take a chunk of the company in order to be able to influence, etc. While I think the corporate VC, the smart ones would try and get an observer seat or be not leading rounds, so they would not taint the company. In terms of exit scenarios, at least my operation is looking also for acquisitions. So we're not looking only at investments. From our perspective, acquiring companies and influencing Samsung from the inside to be very software-rich is a goal. So these are the kind of stuff that we're looking at, and I think that companies should consider all options, not only VCs and corporate VCs and institutional VCs, but also other forms of money investments. They can take loans, they can take, sometimes they don't even need to raise money. So.
Cool. Thank you. Anyone wants to add anything about that?
Maybe it's a good opportunity to say that, well, it has become kind of a custom to, once you open a company that deals with technology, it's kind of a like known fact that you go and raise money. And I think what Eyal was starting to say, and is very important pointing out, not all companies by default have to raise money from venture capital investors, not strategic ones, not global ones, not early stage ones. Raising from a venture capital fund has its own burden. You have to be reporting on a regular basis. You're expected to perform on a certain level of growth and achieving milestones. And if you're not achieving those milestones, you might be considered not as the best. And from an entrepreneurial point of view, I'm not sure everyone would really want to be in that place. So I think when you're really starting, you should really ask yourself if this is something that you really want to do. Should you really be needing to raise funds? If you won't be meeting milestones, what does it mean for your company? I'm sure that there are a lot of valid businesses that are not a good fit for VCs, but still have a good right to exist. So that's a point.
So basically what you're saying, you don't always have to follow to go down the VC road. So I think it's an awesome tip. Many times when you're building a company, like Eyal said before, when you're building a company and you're taking money from VCs, basically you are saying that you're going to make the 100 times the money, or at least that's the promise. So if you're not sure you're going to do that, go to angels.
Just one thing I want to add about the difference between the different VCs. Some VCs like to wait around, and some will just like to tag on. So when you initiate a conversation with a VC, just look at the past deals that a VC has made and try to understand what type of VC you are. It will help you with the conversation.
We're going to have a full section about tips or best practices. So wait.
In terms of the difference.
I want to ask Ran. One of the biggest issues entrepreneurs face, especially in the early stages, is when to approach VCs. So when I started my company, the first thing I did was to go and meet Carmel, which obviously was a big waste of time because I wasn't ready. So can you say something about when to approach which investor?
So,
Or when to approach Carmel?
I'll answer in general and then try to read about Carmel. So, obviously there are different types of VCs and alternatives out there, like I mentioned before, angel investors, and you have groups that are specified and specific around seed investment. So everyone has a different fit with a different life cycle stage of the company. And for some, it would be relevant to follow along these stages as the company grows. But when you are first thinking about which one to approach, you try to see which potential investor would have the best fit for me. If I'm just a couple of guys trying to build the initial prototype, trying to get some hypothesis tested out with some ideas, maybe that's very early. Too early for some institutional investors like larger VCs, and either angel or some other financing facilities that are very focused on initial seed investment would be more relevant. Then we pass that gate and you get some traction, and you try to you can validate your product with the market. You get some initial market pool and some validations that someone would actually pay for that product or get it forward. Then it's better time to go to VCs that would like to see companies that are around that stage and try to see how you do your seed hustle, A, or whatever you would call it, because everybody would also coin that term differently. And don't reach early. And about what you said, that it was a waste of time to approach too early, I would say usually it's not a waste of time, because a lot of time there is an ongoing dialogue between a VC and a certain company until the point that it becomes relevant for investment. I can tell you that one of the investments that I was involved in about a year ago, it was around me, was with a company that we were in touch with for about 2.5 years, until it was the right point for Carmel to get involved. And we're super excited about the company. It's doing great now. So it really depends around, it's about building relationship also with the VC that will be relevant for you maybe in the next round. So specifically Carmel is focused on being A round or B. And what I said before about the term being A or B is not necessarily consistent across all VCs and stages. So I would coin it as being the first institutional investor in a startup. That's usually our sweet spot. But sometimes we also do seed investment, and that would be usually around very specific theme that we think is relevant for us to get so early, or in a certain area, for example, like security, where if you don't get in early, evaluations would go very high very quickly if it all goes well, and then it's probably
Great, thank you. Ran, don't be so afraid. Ran touched a very interesting point, and I saw you nodding your head about the team. Do you want to say something about how do you see teams, like what's important for you? And say also, I don't know if everybody knows Anthony. Say a few words about the companies that Anthony invested in.
Okay, so we'll start with the latter. Entrée is invested in about 50 companies in the portfolio currently. You'll find anything from a SME lender in Australia, to a drone company in San Francisco, via Coupang. Does anybody know Coupang? No? It's like Amazon. It's like a $10 billion company. It's just in Asia, so nobody knows it. It's amazing. Snapchat, Postmates, PillPack, Visually, Riskified, The Pulse, so tons, anything from enterprise SaaS and marketplaces, and we even did some hardware investments and cyber investments, so really everything from everything.
I've heard about Snapchat.
Doing pretty well, right?
Experienced entrepreneurs who've done things before, that have strong technical capabilities, and we're ready to put between $500,000 to $1.5 million, and give these guys everything they need in order for them to build something that we think that is of value and has a market need. When this EIR team gets off the ground and have something meaningful, we either acquire it or the other option is we split it out. We're going to help them raise money from external investors and dilute ourselves. So this is like an example for a very crazy program that also works with entrepreneurs.
I have two questions. So what's EIR?
Entrepreneur in resident.
And the second question, are you looking for individuals or are you looking for teams?
Well, the program works with teams, minimum of 2. But ideally, and we're not afraid to sponsor a bigger team, like of 3, 4. And we're looking for teams that are ready to, they have to be teams that haven't been funded before. And they need to be guys that, or philosophers that needs to really scale up. So they know what they're doing and they have stuff to show within minimum or maximum 6 months, so we can get an external evaluation of what they're up to. So we're going to measure them based on how many users do you have, where did you launch, what kind of operating system do you support, how many partners you have. We expect them to behave as just a regular company.
Now let's talk about who wants to take a philosophical test or a question into the future. Come on, be brave. Yeah. So I think that investors have a different perspective. They meet companies, they meet entrepreneurs, they see, they have a different point of view, higher if you would like. I'm really interested in knowing what do you guys see the next steps for the future of the Israeli startup ecosystem, or the ecosystem of tel-aviv.
So I think
I told you it's a hard question.
I think what's interesting is that we have now more and more Israeli companies that have exited. So we have more entrepreneurs that have done it before, have more experience. We have more Israeli entrepreneurs that have started companies and failed. So I feel like the companies, the startups that are coming out now, we build in the future. We build in a lot more experience, with a lot more understanding of the ecosystem, of the processes, of how to behave with fundraising, with customers. And there's a lot of best practices that are going around.
So more mature ecosystem.
A lot more mature, and I feel like will allow us to build bigger companies and have bigger exits.
Anyone have a different view of the future and wants to share?
So that's true, but when we look at it on a macro level, and you see, for example, 2008, the whole world collapses, everybody's losing their homes. Israel, no. Like nothing really major, bounced back up, the government deployed the net, everything was okay. Now the reason for that is not because we're high and mighty, but because we were disconnected. And we weren't affected by what was affecting the entire world. Now if you look at startups, and you look at the people who sit here, how much money flowing from our funds you think comes in from Israel, as opposed to the US? How much funds do you think pouring into the Israeli ecosystem from the US and Europe, and how much from Israel? Now something's going to happen in the world. Why? Because it always does. It's inevitable. And when it does, we're going to get it just as bad. Even more so, because we're so dependent on external capital. And I think the only way to solve that problem is Shema Israel to let our pension funds in Israeli big organizations with tons of cash to invest in Israeli entrepreneurs. So bad, I see dark, because I don't think that will happen due to a ridiculous management fee issue. But if it does happen, all that is correct, and we're definitely on the way to become even bigger and better.
So basically you are saying that one of the challenges or the risks is the fact that we are dependent on money coming from the outside.
And that being said, I think that the external money that we get got diversified a bit. Lately, a lot of money comes from the East and China. So while sorry, Yeah, I mean, but basically it looks like if we've crossed 2008, then it looks more solid now. Just wanted to add another point to the previous point that said that there are a lot of knowledge coming from former entrepreneurs and Israelis who did it on a large scale, and add to that that there is a lot of talent, influx of talent that is not only from the entrepreneurial world, but from large multinationals like Google and Facebook and others that have built here very large operations, and there are kick-ass people that have, you know, had it and they want to do something on their own, or like, you know, mid-level management, product managers, all those kind of people are people that are very important for, you know, companies that want to scale. So there's a lot of, you know, influx of knowledge from these kind of companies as well.
Yeah, that's a whole different panel, very interesting one. But that's, you know, like, I promise that we will do one with the Office of the Chief Scientist and all these guys to talk about governmental and municipal initiatives.
I have something to add. So I'll challenge you first. So two things. First of all, I think that seed investing in Israel is still dominated by Israeli funds. I think that higher valuations are coming from external funds, so I don't think there will be a lot of change in the first institutional money coming into companies. We've seen that although total valuations in AB and above rounds have been going up in the last years, early stage investment ticket size has not been growing that much. And more than that, I think that for us it's a great opportunity. When markets are getting a little shaky, it's a time that strong companies thrive, and it's personally I'm very excited about to see which companies are going to grow up in the next few years, and I think it's great investment opportunities. Making place for stronger entrepreneurs that understand the markets, and that they have to validate their business as a sustainable one and less as a I'll freebie it all the way to $10 billion company.
Well, a little bit more. So if you look at the last couple of years of investment, overall investment in startups in Israel, and this year, a lot of the growth in overall investment is coming from later stage rounds, and hopefully, as we see this trend, we'll see more larger companies forming in Israel, and startups becoming a large category international players. But another thing which is a bit on the more problematic side, as you see more and more startups growing and overall investment growing, for startups I think is the talent, is getting the talent. I recently saw an article, it was not that exciting, that in 2014 there were overall less graduates of computer science than 2004, and you see more and more companies growing and international players coming in, attracting a lot of new talent. So for all sorts of startups in their early days, trying to get really, you know, the hot shots and good developers is going to be really challenging. So it's going to make it, this overall trend is going to make for startups who are just starting out much harder than very few years ago.
Yeah, again, it's going a bit to policy making and stuff like that, but I urge you all to read the last report from the Office of the Chief Scientist, which is an amazing read, and it's not everything is, you know, positive, exactly, not everything is roses. Read it, it's very, very interesting. But let's go and talk a bit about how this is the thing, because this is the topic. So, who wants to talk about the common mistakes? Mistakes you see over and over again, and you can like fix easily when startups come to raise money.
I can start. I think first is the first mistake is that some people do not do some of the homework. It's not that hard to do. You just come prepared. So first of all, you have to come prepared. So people, it's very easy to go and search to see what good template would be for like a pitch presentation. What's things you should address if it's a competition or a market.
Where can you find a good example?
The most basic thing is search Guy Kawasaki pitch deck, which is like a classic.
Sequoia has a template.
I know there's
Number one in
several others, and every Google search probably will get a good result. And all of these results are better than not searching at all. Some people are doing. And I would say it's also very important to just to be professional. Before you get into more advanced tips. Be prepared with your deck. If you want to present, it's also okay to come in and just discuss. It's not a must to have a 12 slide presentation. But some things, at least to me, I think are important. I mean, especially startups that are coming, for example, to raise an A-round, right? And they have some traction, and they have some sales, and there's also some number involved, and definitely in the plan ahead, and what you're going to do with the money that you want to raise. So you have to have some sort of like at least one financial slide discussing the plan ahead, and it would be good that the number that you want to raise will somehow be derived from that slide. Because many companies would say, we want to raise 4 million. Why not 5? Why not 3.7? It has to come from some sort of like a cash burning over the next few years. You have to have some sort of a planned budget, or how much you think you're going to spend on marketing or R&D. So it's good to think about those things, especially if you are not in your very, very initial round. So to sum up, check out the template, do the homework, and have also the financial aspect.
So I have like 10 minutes. When should I start? Should I start with one?
Choose the biggest mistake or the most common mistake.
I'll go with the least common one. It's not the least common, but I mean, it's the one that people really don't understand their language. So it sounds basic, but know how to explain your solution. Know how to explain what you're trying to build.
Storytelling.
Just explain your solution. Know what you're selling, because sometimes you can sit in a meeting for 50 minutes trying to understand what the hell they're trying to do, and you're still puzzled. And most people just do good. And VCs are smart people. We get things. We see millions of companies. So explain what you're doing. It's very basic. I think it's important.
Okay, so 2 things. Maybe I'll dive a little bit deeper into what you said, which is for us at Lool, just like Eran said before, this is correct for us. So in terms of amounts raising, we're really going for the guys that are looking a few steps ahead. So for us, you're coming to raise your seed round. You'll be wanting to raise your A round sometime soon, hopefully. Soon after the seed round, and well, you need to have enough money in the bank until the next round comes in. So you really have to understand what the bar and the threshold and what A-round investors are looking to see when you'll be coming to raise funds from them. So this is their bar, this is where you want to reach. Fundraising takes about 3 to 6 months, so you add that up, and then you have to reach that amount of traction or revenues or whatever the bar is within, for example, 2 years. And you have to take the fundraising time in consideration. This will take you this amount of employees, that amount of rental. You do the math and bring it down to today. Today, I need this amount of money to reach that point. A lot of entrepreneurs are coming and saying, well, we need money. This is going to suffice us for 18 months, which is nice, but you can just sit around for 18 months and just wait for time to go by, and then that will also do. So this is not really what we're looking to hear. We want to know what's the use of funds that you expect, and where are you going to reach, what KPI, what metrics, and how is that going to get you to raising your next big round, which is a more grand scheme of things. See an entrepreneur open the way of thought. That's one. And I think the second one, in Israel, well, we're a remote country from usually our go-to-markets. there's a very big gap to make for, and you have to understand that there's different culture on the other side of the ocean, different culture, different users, different way of doing business. And if you want to validate you want to know if the go-to-market that you're looking at wants what you're selling, you should probably go talk to them. If it's the US, if it's India, if it's China, you would probably want to validate your product on the specific go-to-market that you're targeting, not Israeli achsheli culture that everyone knows everyone here, and it's very easy to get to the, VP product of Facebook in Israel.
Is Gil here? Gil? Gil?
I did not do that.
You want to say something, Gil? You want to say something about that? No. You don't have to.
So Upwork Labs is here, and they're bridging your way to the US market. I'll say it for that.
Upwork Labs. But that's a different panel.
You have so many subjects getting out of this. OCS, that price. Everyone's got his business. You scale?
Unfortunately not, and I'm also not getting paid, so that's
another issue,
I think we should change the panel, giving advice to Gilad.
I definitely need it.
Yes.
Ran, you want to say something?
So for me, it's +1 to all of you. I agree. For us, it's actually the no part. How many here are entrepreneurs? Raise your hand. How many here met with a VC? Raise your hand. How many got a no? How many of you replied with the nicest email you can imagine? Like half. When a VC and an entrepreneur meet, it's like a first date. And then the VC says no, and it's hurtful. Because this is my dream, this is my venture, and we get it. I get it. But it's not personal. The guy started, it's his life, everything's personal. But you need the ability to respect the decision made and convey the fact that you have acknowledged that decision and you respect it. Because, like Ran said, you saw company seed, A, didn't invest, and then in B you invested. Now if after seed, you would send him the, sorry, these are the reasons, no, you would send, you're a schmuck. You probably wouldn't invest in the B round, right? That's a big X on his name, not on his venture, on his name.
Do you get emails like that?
I get phone calls. What? Why? At 9 p.m.
No, but asking feedback is okay.
Of course. But even if you want to ask feedback, the Israeli way of asking feedback can sometimes be not subtle. Okay? Write a respectable, I thank you for your time. I know you didn't have to meet with me, but you did. Thank you for hearing me out. I understand your decision-making process. I look forward to cooperating with you in the future. Can I let you know when we're raising our next round? Can I know maybe the top 3 items which you think I can improve so I can better myself for the other VCs I'm going to meet? That's when I think, well, did I just make a mistake? Maybe I should have carried on the conversation. So that's the only thing, like the worst.
So I'll summarize. First 4 and I'll add 1. So basically we're saying, do your research, contact us at the right time, do your storytelling, or like be able to describe what you're up to so we won't feel morons. Think about the right amount, do your math so you'll know exactly how much you're raising and can explain us why. Be nice, because investing and working with VCs or investors, like in other scenarios, is a relationship. And you build relationship even if it starts on the wrong foot, but it's relationship, and you should keep your manners. I think that there's sometimes Israeli style involved. We see emails like I work with my New York colleagues, etc. And sometimes stuff that we think that in Hebrew is fine is not seen as